Hey, do you have a system in place? Or are you that person that kind of just does things on a whim, goes with the flow, doesn't really write down your thoughts, doesn't really plan things out? Do you have a system in place? No, you don't. You do not have a system. That is what we're talking about today. And this is for those that know who they are and you don't have a system. You're kind of like winging it as you go. You're so busy, and then you have this idea that you want to put out there and you just wing it and you just kind of like go with the flow and you don't map things out. Okay. I can be like that sometimes, but I'm working really, really hard on keeping a system because that is what helps me show up better. Right. So, motivation is not going to save you if you don't have a system. If you don't have a system and a structure in place, you're going to be all over the place. People aren't going to know what you're talking about. Your vision and your goal is not going to be clear to your audience because you don't have a system in place. You have to have a system in place, okay? You can't just rely on your feelings because that's going to cause you to be inconsistent. And we need consistency this year. We've been talking about consistency for the past 2 weeks. And we need to talk about also having systems in place for ourselves, like in our personal lives, as well as our business. Because if you are a busy person like myself, the systems is what's going to keep you sane. The systems are what going to keep you structured. They're going to keep you on task. There's people that are out there that like order, they like systems, and there's people that are out there that go on a whim and they do things, spontaneously, and that works for them, right? But being a business owner and having a life where you're like in charge of so many different things, we are those people that need structure. We need to have order. We can't just rely on feelings and our thoughts to just like go out on a whim and put something out because we're going to be so overwhelmed thinking about different pieces, and we're not going to fully show up as our authentic selves, and we're not going to be able to fully show up and be present for our business. So, a system, what is a system? Setting up a system for me, I'll say what a system is for me, right? Like, so let's use this series as an example. I said to myself, I want to go live every day at 1 p.m. talking about how people can show up for themselves and for their businesses. I want to do different topics every day to kind of touch on points that people are dealing with that people don't really talk about, that I haven't really heard people talk about. So I had to create a schedule. I had to create topics. I had to come up with talking points. I had to organize it by each day so that I knew what I was talking about. And that was my structure, right? That was what I set up for myself so that I did not fail, so that I did not drop the ball with this particular assignment, because I knew that this was going to take up a lot of my time of sitting and batching my recordings and scheduling them out, coming up with the description, the hashtags, the captions, the thumbnails and all of that. I needed to have the structure in place so that I can continuously show up for my business. And this does not include, creating blogs and sending out emails to my email list. Everything that I do for my business has a structure. I send out emails on certain days, I do blogs on certain days. This was something new that I threw into the mix of my normal day to day for my business. So I had to look at my day and say, okay, what can I realistically do? And how can I set up a system that's going to work for me and not against me? I have to sit down. I have to plan it out. Having talking points. I don't write out my full script because I know what I'm talking about. I know and I'm confident in the information that I'm giving out, that I just do talking points. I have them over here, and that's going to guide me through each video so that I'm confident in showing up for my audience. So that is what a system looks like for me. What does it look like for you? And you are the only one who can answer that based on what it is that you're trying to do. Okay. Are you trying to start showing up more on your social media? What does that look like for you? Does that mean sitting down and finding somebody, outsourcing a social media consultant to help you with that? Is it, if you feel like you're somebody that can just be a hands-on person and do it yourself, What does that look like for you? What is the structure? Are you putting out an ebook? Are you putting out a workbook? Are you putting out a course? Are you doing a webinar? Are you launching some products? Like, what is the structure for you and how you're going to map this out so that you're staying on task, so that you're showing up, so that you're present, you're not overextending yourself, right? So, how does showing up become easier with structure? Again, like I said, with me, I batch my recordings, then I take time to schedule them out. So I don't have to worry about it. Set it and forget it is what I used to say when I had my other business. I set it up and I forget about it. I come back and watch live as I'm like a viewer, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot I even scheduled these out. But it keeps my business moving. It keeps my page growing. It keeps the algorithm, recognizing that I'm being consistent, because YouTube recognizes consistency and they push you out more when they see that you're consistent. When they realize who your audience is, they push it out to those that they feel may benefit from what it is that you're putting out there. So you have to have a system. As a business owner, you have to have a system. There's no way around it. If you don't have a system, it's gonna fail. And be in the business owner arena, if you do not have a system, it's going to most likely fail. Okay. Systems protect your energy, they protect your peace, they set boundaries, they help prevent burnout. Systems are so good to have in your business and in your life. Like, I don't know, like, I don't know how some people don't have systems. And it's probably something they need to learn, right? Everybody doesn't have that instinct of, oh, I need to create a system. Some people aren't planners. They're doers, they're spontaneous. There's different types of personalities. And for me, I can be spontaneous, but I feel like I'm spontaneous with structure, right? Because I literally, this is such a good example. At the end of January, I said, I think I want to go live every day in February. So I literally had this spontaneous idea, but I sat down and I built out the structure for it right away. And I said to myself, I said, okay, I can do this if I plan, if I batch my recordings, weekly, take a day and record all of my videos. That's going to set me up for success. I'm going to have a structure. I'm going to have my topics already ready. And I'm just going to have to put my talking points in and just flow with it. Just flow with it. And that's what I have been doing, because the structure is there. The setup is already there. So the difference between trying and operating, so you could try to do something, but there's no structure. If you're trying to do something, that means that you haven't thought it out. You haven't made a structure, and you're just going on a whim, and you're just winging it. You're just winging it versus operating. Like, if you're operating in what you're doing, there's a structure. There's In operating, there's structure. There's not just like winging it. You have an outline, for meetings, you have an agenda, you have the points, you have the time frames, time limits. It is structured out. That's how you can look at it, having an agenda for what it is that you want to do, mapping it out line by line. And if something is off, if something happens, if there's like a whoopsie or like something that comes up, it's okay. It's okay to course correct, shift, go with the flow. There have been times where I have been recording videos, right? I'll look at my notes and I'm like, that's not what I want to say. And I'm going to switch it up and I'm going to say this because it sounds better and it sounds more powerful. And I feel like it's going to stick in their minds more. So like, there's a lot of stuff on here that I'm not reading because it's all coming to me naturally, right? But at least I have a structure, at least I have a setup, so that if I feel like I'm getting stuck, which I have, I would get stuck and I'm like, oh, I don't know what to say next. I kind of talked about that already. And then I'll go to the next point. And I'm like, oh, this flows right into the next point. So having things like that set up for you is going to make your life so much easier. I promise you. Systems allow you to show up. If you don't have a system, you're going to be less likely to want to show up for anything that it is that you're doing, right? If you are taking the time to set yourself up for success, you have no other option but to show up because you have everything in place. You know what I mean? Imagine if you don't have a structure, you're not going to be set up for success because you're going to have every excuse in the world like, oh, I'm not ready, that's when you're going to feel like you're not ready because you don't have a system in place. But if you have a system in place, you're going to be more confident to say, okay, I can do this. I have my talking points. I have my outline for my course. I have this, I have X, Y, Z. I feel confident. I can show up. I can do this. And be okay if you make a mistake. Okay. Be okay if you fumble your words. Be okay if there's a typo. That happens sometimes. We are human. We are not perfect. And if we were perfect, we would all be successful already. We would all have businesses that were working for us and not against us. We would have systems in place. We would have all the confidence in the world. Fear wouldn't be a thing. And we would just be thriving out here doing our businesses if we were all perfect. But we are not. We are all human. We all make mistakes. So this is my opportunity on this platform to remind you as a business owner to business owner, or influencer to influencer, entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, however you want to look at it. This is your reminder that we are all human. We all make mistakes. There's always opportunity for growth. Failure is going to happen, but it's all about how you bounce back from that and how you learn from that. Are you going to use the failure as a decision maker, or are you going to use fear as a motivator to push you to do better? Are you going to learn from that mistake and keep going, or are you going to allow that to stop you in your tracks and prevent you from growing in your business and as a person? We have to think about these things. And these are some things that I talk about in my 3-month program. So if you are interested in learning more about my 3-month program, visit my website, go to the Work With Me tab, and you can choose which one you want to sign up for. You could sign up for a strategy session. You could sign up for a free consultation. If you're interested in the 3-month program that launches next month, book your free consultation with me so that we can see if this is a good fit for you. Because these are the things that we talk about. We talk about everything that I'm talking about now. We go deeper into it. And I don't want to say blunt, but I'm very real with my clients. I will let them know that's not going to work. That is not working for you. You're trying to do too much. Let's scale it back a little bit and start here, and then build our way up to where you want to go, because you're just starting out. I hear you and I feel you. You're overexcited and you want to do all the things, but let's take a beat. Let's have systems in place to help you get to where you want to go. It's not going to happen overnight, but I'm glad that you started somewhere. Okay, so visit my website, leave me some love in the comments, let me know what you thought about this video, and I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m.